Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Got a couple stories to share with you in this latest Moon Lambo Hot Jam. You remember how back in May we found out that Robinhood was getting attacked by the SEC, received a Wells notice? Well, we got some additional information today, and as it turns out, Robinhood didn't learn from Ripple's mistake. The whole they totally fell for the SEC's ploy to get him in. You know, the whole just come in and talk to us thing. Remember that whole thing? Just come in and the implication being, it's fine, just talk to us and then you can register and you go about your way. You keep doing your business stuff, right? Well, we know that's a lie. What they're actually doing, and Brad Garlinghouse pointed this out, is what they're doing during those meetings, and Ripple did fall for this because Ripple was acting in good faith. This isn't a critique against Ripple. This was earlier on when it wasn't as obvious what the SEC was doing. But the SEC was using those meetings as lead generation, literally, as if it's a sales pipeline. It's a sales funnel, right? So they're getting information from individual companies in the world of crypto, and then once they've spilled their guts, here's what we're doing, here's the business model, here's the specifics, and all the stuff you asked for. Like, oh, okay, well, here's your lawsuit. Robinhood didn't learn from that. So I want to give you some specifics, although here's a headline from CoinDesk. SEC's crypto record rebuked by ex-commissioner, GOP lawmakers in hearing. There's interesting stuff in here. And also, there's some speculation about who will be perhaps the next SEC chair if the Democrats are out of the White House. But if that's not the case, then just assume it's going to be Gensler, right? Until the term's up. And then we also have this from the Crypto Basic. Ripple CLO says Ripple will be the most trusted source for enterprise support when regulatory cloud is lifted. So there are a couple points made in here that I want to opine on, but. Before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so let's jump into this piece from the Crypto Basic first about, it's covering commentary from Stu Alderati, Ripple's chief legal officer. Reads as follows. Ripple Chief Legal Officer Stuart Alderati makes a bold claim about Ripple's prominence in the crypto industry. In a Tuesday discussion at the Financial Markets Quality, or FMQ, conference, Alderati revealed that Ripple is working on all fronts to be the one-stop shop for cryptocurrency innovation globally. So let's pause a note here. This is in line with what I've been saying. Whatever you've been thinking about Ripple for like the better part of a decade or however long you've been following. I know not everybody's been around for that amount of time, but even if you've just been here for a few years or so, you may have had it in your mind that, yeah, Ripple's the company that's using XRP for cross-border payments. Well, as I've been reporting for basically the entirety of this year and much of the late last year, Ripple has changed their approach. Now, the good news is XRP is still at the core of their business model, and it must be. It's of the utmost importance to them because if XRP doesn't succeed, they have the most to lose because they're the largest individual stakeholder just in terms of the quantity of XRP that they hold. So, of course, they have every incentive under the sun to make sure that XRP does well. And so as a result, on the whole, of course, they're not perfect. I would certainly argue that they've certainly been a good cheerleader for the entire XRP ecosystem. And they have unwavering support for it, and it's growing. But they are doing additional stuff here. And that's why they've gotten in the article cites some of this stuff here. Gets into the fact that they want to be the enterprise solution for all things crypto, and so that's why they've been getting into custody, and they bought Medico, and they've gone on a buying spree. Frankly, that's why they're launching RLUSD, Ripple's stablecoin, which, by the way, on the XRP Ledger anyway, literally requires the existence and usage of XRP. So it's great for XRP, and there will be different use cases for different coins, even on the XRP Ledger. XRP will always be useful so long as this is a thing. So it's a positive. So even though, if you ask Brad Garlinghouse what's Ripple do, he might not give the same spiel that he would have half a decade ago. That's okay. It doesn't change anything in terms of XRP being a core focus of what they're doing. Anyway, piece continues. The CLO believes that the U.S. would appreciate Ripple's progress over the course of its existence, stating that the cross-border payment giant would become the most trusted source for enterprise support when cryptocurrencies see a clearer regulatory environment. Ah, yes. Now, that's an interesting one, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you some additional stuff on that. But the good news is, look, Ripple we're in a bull run now. Ripple's on the other side of this, and that means so are XRP holders, specifically as it pertains to the legality and the legal status of XRP. But there are other firms that are not, like Robinhood. That's why I just like, it's just so unfortunate that they didn't learn from Ripple's mistake. And Ripple, it's not like Ripple was being unreasonable in speaking with the SEC. They didn't know it was a bad move. Ripple's always been the adult in the room in the world of crypto, trying to do everything under the sun to comply with law as much as possible, even though it's not sufficiently clear what the hell the laws are, because this is new technology, right? You can't just shoehorn it into 100-year-old policies and regulations, right? Then they wrote here, Aldradi stated that Ripple has advanced instead as a leading crypto industrial player by maximizing its presence on 3 major fronts. He said that aside from cross-border payments, Ripple's core product, it is diversified into asset custody and stablecoin issuance. And so that is what I was mentioning just a couple minutes ago. Now, I found this post. I just came across it in my feed from my fellow XRP YouTuber, Crypto Eddie, and she was speculating, and I found it interesting, as to why David Schwartz might now be in favor of having smart contracts on layer 1 of the XRP Ledger, given that he's been against it for years and years and years, with fears that are, I'd say fair enough, but fears that if you implement smart contract functionality of layer 1, it's going to decrease other XRP functionality, especially at scale, when it comes to, for instance, XRP being very fast. I mean, XRP is so fast that transactions are effectively real-time, and transactions cost a fraction of a penny. So given that's, at the core of what has resulted in XRP staying in the top 10 coins by market cap for literally its entire life, are we putting that at risk? And my personal opinion is if there's anything that's going to put that at risk in terms of a change of code, my answer is no, because the world of investors anyway, have already made it very clear they like XRP like it is. You need something that's great at payments. Broadly speaking, XRP it had not literally first mover advantage, but it was among the first cryptos ever created. It's become a standard in many ways. Hard to supplant that. We already have a winner here. Let's not muck it up, right? But of course, if you can implement smart contract functionality on layer 1, why wouldn't you want that? As so long as it's not going to screw up anything having to do with XRP's core functionality, just being good at payments. So why did David Schwartz change his mind? Well, he said some stuff, up to this point anyway, nothing terribly detailed, but that he's talked with certain developers that have persuaded him that it should be possible, it is possible, to implement layer 1 smart contract functionality on the XRP Ledger without screwing that up. And I shared some of his comments in previous videos in recent weeks. Now, Crypto Eddie shared the post that's on your screen here, and one of the things she was speculating about, which I found pretty interesting, she wrote in part, I'm sure much of that pivot is because programmability for stablecoins is a must to be competitive and relevant. So you kind of wonder to what degree. Actually, let me just pull this up and make this full screen, because we're talking about stablecoins here. She had the screen grab because stablecoins are built on distributed ledger technology. They offer programmability to payments via smart contracts, which can inspire useful product or service innovation and link the traditional Web 2 economy with the future of finance, Web 3. So does it have something to do with that? Programmability for stablecoins as far as Crypto Eddie is concerned, that's a must. So maybe it'd be interesting. I mean, the timing lines up, doesn't it? Earlier this year we get word Ripple wants to launch a stablecoin, and then magically, shortly after that, David Schwartz, who has been completely against smart contract functionality, says, "No, I'm for it now." It does make me wonder. I mean, it's reasonable speculation. It makes me wonder if there's something at play there as well. Maybe that is one of the reasons. And then we have this. Remember this story? This is from May, from Reuters. Robinhood Crypto gets Wells notice from U.S. SEC. Now, of course, the Wells notice is the hey, we're going to sue you notice from the SEC. And it's usually when those are sent out, I mean, it's a virtual certainty. Yeah, you're going to get sued. Although technically still it has to be voted on and you have a chance to respond before it gets to that point. But they almost always know what they want to do. And there's a structure in place with the personnel where like they kind of know, wink, wink, nod, nod. We know if we say this is a company that should be sued, you'll probably vote in that direction. So anyway, so there was that. We knew that back in May. But I saw this post from Fox Business journalist Eleanor Terrett, And she wrote the following: new, powerful testimony for today's Financial Committee hearing with lots of ground covered from a former SEC commissioner now serving as Robinhood's chief legal officer, Dan Gallagher. Particularly interesting was his description of the efforts Robinhood went to attempt to register with the commission. Quote, over a dozen meetings and calls over a year and a half, end quote, which still resulted in a Wells notice from the Enforcement Division. Gallagher says staff were generally non-responsive to Robinhood's requests for guidance and feedback on how to move its registration proposal forward. Now, folks, again, that's a former SEC commissioner. He's like, what the hell are you doing here? He's getting bamboozled, right? Over a dozen meetings and calls over a year and a half. At some point over that time period, what do you think? I think they might be playing us. Like, would it cross your mind at some point? But see, I understand that if you're operating in good faith, you know, you just, what do you really just decide we're not going to play ball with you anymore? It's just, I understand it's a hard call, but you had Ripple first. Like, to me, like, did y'all not know about, they had to have known about that. Come on. So it's kind of silly. And then she writes, he criticized the agency for its scorched earth approach to regulating crypto and even suggests some steps the commission could take right now in order to help establish clarity for the industry. And so that was reposted by XRP community member and attorney Bill Morgan. And he wrote, Robinhood fell for the just come in and speak to us BS from the SEC and ended up with a Wells notice. Well, folks, you hate to see it. But I know none of you listening are surprised. None of you. You hate to see it. But check this out. And this is kind of cool. So I mentioned there's some speculation about who might potentially be a new SEC chair. Maybe. It's speculation. Okay. If you have a Trump White House again. We got that and more. So check out this headline from CoinDesk. SEC's crypto record rebuked by ex-commissioner GOP lawmakers in hearing. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission was hammered for 2 hours in a congressional hearing on Wednesday, in which the witness list predominantly included agency critics, including former Commissioner Daniel Gallagher, who is now at Robinhood. So again, that's the former SEC commissioner now at Robinhood. In a preview of what could come when all 5 SEC commissioners, including Chair Gary Gensler, face a full hearing of the House Financial Services Committee on September 24th. Oh, looking forward to that. The agency took a rhetorical beating from most of Wednesday's witnesses, all the Republican members, and some of the crypto-friendly Democrats on the subcommittee, holding a hearing entitled Dazed and Confused, breaking down the SEC's politicized approach to digital assets. And folks, I just got to point out again, because it's ridiculous. This is a partisan issue, and it should not be. How is it that, I mean, it's a party platform for the Republicans now to be pro-crypto. It just is. And it's the opposite for the Democrats. It shouldn't be. And if you, this is not just my opinion, look at the voting record of those in Congress. About 100% of votes on the right, pro-crypto. The vast majority of votes on the left, not pro-crypto. It's just a fact. And so that's why I always am happy to shout out and applaud those, even on the Democrat side, who are bucking the trend here, breaking the mold, because that's not popular within their party, but they're doing what they know is right on that issue at least. But this should not be the case. And I know it won't always be. Eventually enough time will pass, and that party's going to have to figure it out. But what in the ever-loving hell are the Democrats doing? Oh my God. It's dumb as hell. It's not even benefiting them. How stupid can you be? There is no anti-crypto voter bloc. There just isn't. But there is a pro-crypto voter bloc. It's not in their interest. They can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's here to stay. Why not just acknowledge this very clear fact, and maybe, just maybe, Congress push through some reasonable regulation? Because understand that government agencies are not all powerful, right? The government agencies get any power, to the extent they have any power, from Congress. Explicitly from Congress. Oh, burns my biscuits just thinking about this. Anyway, piece continues. Gallagher, who is a senior lawyer at Robinhood Markets and whose name has been circulated as a possible agency chair if Republicans retake the White House next year, recounted a very frustrating situation in which his company was rebuffed in an effort to register with the SEC for crypto activity and has recently received a notice that the agency is weighing an enforcement action on our very compliant Robinhood crypto offering. And that last part's a quote. So there you go. Dan Gallagher, a former SEC commissioner, who is now a crypto bro, if you will, very pro crypto over at Robinhood. Speculation that under a Trump White House, should that end up coming into existence here, you could end up having a crypto bro right here in charge of the SEC. My God, that would be welcome, because this is somebody who is actually pro crypto. I can't imagine that being a backward step from Gensler. It's not even possible. It's literally impossible. I don't mean figured. It is literally impossible. There is no one worse than Gensler, right? Anyway, then he says, quote, this is Gallagher. He says, "We have to look over our shoulder left and right because of this regulatory uncertainty." And so he was arguing that the agency has deliberately ignored a legal authority that would have allowed it to engage in some initial rulemaking even before Congress weighs in. And he said, quote, "Ultimately, it will be up to Congress to rectify the Commission's failure to act to register both tokens and platforms and to provide clarity for those which do not require registration. Only Congress will be able to truly provide the necessary long-term regulatory clarity for digital assets, but nothing is stopping the Commission from moving now to provide tailored relief that allows firms to register, even if provisionally, and continue to innovate in the meantime," end quote. Yeah, and nobody would have an issue with that. The SEC's like, well, here's what if they were being genuinely honest, here's the extent to which we think that our agency might oversee any of this, and it would have to be, obviously, for any sort of schemes that encompass the Howey factor, something like that. And if there was a cryptocurrency that, fine. But then it's not the underlying asset that's the issue. It would just be the totality of the scheme, as was the case with Howey, right? Back in 1946. But then they could also say that's the extent. Anything else, the rest of the cryptocurrencies, by the nature of them existing, they're not doing that. Now, of course, if you want to talk about individual actors in any space, okay, fine. That's actually legit for discussion at a minimum. Fine. But that's not what we're seeing. And so he recognizes that. And that he very clearly gets that, by the nature of something existing, it isn't a security in the world of crypto. That's not how this works. So anyway, too bad, so sad. They are under attack because they didn't learn from Ripple's mistakes. Hopefully others have. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.